If the first hard thing you do every day is getting out of bed, your legs are already telling you something important. Not that you're getting older. They're telling you that the muscles responsible for lifting, stabilizing, and propelling your body have gotten quiet. And quiet muscles don't wake up from walking. They wake up from something more deliberate than that. Here's the thing most people don't know. Walking is a maintenance activity. It preserves what you already have. But if what you already have has declined, if standing up feels like work, if your legs feel heavy by mid-morning, if stairs have become something you think about before you attempt, walking isn't going to reverse that. You need resistance. You need a specific contraction, and you need it at a range of motion that walking simply doesn't reach. The exercise you're going to learn today happens entirely in your bed, before your feet touch the floor. It takes about 10 minutes, it requires nothing but the weight of your own legs, and the research behind it is the same science that physical therapists use to rebuild leg strength after joint replacement surgery. That should tell you something about how seriously this works. By the time this video is over, you'll understand exactly why your legs feel the way they do in the morning, which specific muscles are responsible for the weakness most people blame on age, and how one targeted movement, done before you ever stand up, starts rebuilding strength from the ground up. This is not a list of bed stretches. This is not a warm-up. This is a strength protocol designed specifically for adults over 70 who need to rebuild functional leg power in a joint-safe, low-impact way. The distinction matters, and you'll feel the difference within the first week. Why morning leg weakness is not what you think it is. When you wake up in the morning and your legs feel stiff, heavy, or unreliable, most people chalk it up to a bad night's sleep or just aging. Neither explanation is accurate enough to be useful. What's actually happening is a combination of two things. The first is muscular atrophy, the gradual loss of muscle fiber that accelerates significantly after age 70. After 70, the body loses muscle at a rate of roughly 2 to 3% per year without active resistance training. That's not a rounding error. Over 5 years, that's up to 15% of your total muscle mass gone. And the legs, because they're large and metabolically expensive to maintain, lose it faster than anywhere else. The second thing is something called neural inhibition. When muscles go unused for extended periods, including the 6 to 8 hours of sleep when your legs are essentially stationary, the nervous system downregulates its signaling to those muscles. The motor neurons fire more slowly. The recruitment of muscle fibers is less complete. Your legs aren't just weaker from atrophy, they're also slower to respond because the neural pathway has gone quiet overnight. This is exactly why the first few steps of the morning feel the worst. It's not that your joints are worn out, it's that your muscles haven't been asked to work yet, and the nervous system hasn't fully reconnected. The problem is that most people get up, shuffle to the bathroom, make coffee, and sit down again. And that brief shuffle is the only signal the legs receive that it's time to engage. It's not enough. What you need is a deliberate, sustained muscular contraction that happens before you stand up, something that recruits the quadriceps, the glutes, and the hip flexors simultaneously, forces the nervous system to fully reconnect, and begins generating the mechanical stimulus that tells your body to preserve and rebuild muscle tissue rather than continue to break it down. That movement is the supine straight leg raise, performed in a very specific sequence, at a very specific tempo, with a level of intention that most people have never applied to an exercise this simple. Supine straight leg raise protocol. You're going to do this lying on your back. If you wake up in the morning and read nothing else from this video, remember that. Flat on your back, legs straight before you sit up. Setting up correctly. Lie on your back with your legs fully extended. Your pillow can stay under your head. This isn't about being uncomfortable, it's about being positioned correctly. Your arms should rest at your sides or lightly on your stomach. Your lower back will have a small natural arch. Don't try to press it flat into the mattress. That neutral spine position is where you want to stay for the entire exercise. Now take stock of how your legs feel right now before anything happens. Notice the weight of them. Notice how much they feel connected to you versus separate and heavy. You're going to feel a difference in that sensation by the end of the protocol, and paying attention to it is part of what builds body awareness over time. Step 1. The quad set activation. Before you lift anything, you're going to activate the quadriceps while your leg is still flat on the mattress. This is called a quad set, and it is the most underused and most important piece of this entire protocol. With your right leg fully extended and resting on the mattress, press the back of your knee gently downward, as if you're trying to flatten a small wrinkle in the sheet beneath you. As you do that, consciously tighten the muscle on the front of your thigh. You should feel the quad contract and your kneecap lift very slightly upward towards your hip. Hold that contraction for 5 full seconds. Breathe normally, then release completely and rest for 3 seconds. Do this 3 times before you lift the leg even an inch. This step is not optional, and it is not a warm-up in the casual sense. It's a neural primer. You're essentially sending a direct message to the motor neurons that supply your quadriceps and telling them to wake up and fire before you add load. Physical therapists use this exact technique after knee surgery because a post-surgical quad can become neurally inhibited. The pain signals from the joint cause the nervous system to suppress the muscle as a protective mechanism. Age does something similar, just more slowly. The quad set overrides that inhibition before it can interfere with the strength work that follows. Step 2. The controlled lift. After your 3 quad set repetitions, flex your right foot, toes pulled firmly back towards your shin. Maintain that quad contraction that you just established. Then, keeping your leg completely straight, lift it from the mattress until your heel is approximately 12 inches off the surface, roughly the height of your other knee if it were bent. Count 4 seconds on the way up. The slowness is not about being careful, it's about maximizing the time your muscle spends under tension, which is the primary driver of muscle stimulus. A fast lift recruits momentum, a slow lift recruits muscle. At 12 inches, hold for 3 seconds. Squeeze harder at the top, not to the point of pain, but with real intention. Then lower the leg back to the mattress over 5 full seconds. 5. When your heel touches down, don't let the leg go slack. Maintain the quad contraction and immediately begin the next repetition. Do 8 repetitions on the right leg, then switch to the left and repeat the entire sequence. 3 quad sets, then 8 slow repetitions. Rest for 60 seconds, then do a second round on each side. Step 3. The hip flexor integration. After 2 rounds of straight leg raises, you're going to shift slightly to target the hip flexors because the quad and the hip flexor work as a team during standing and walking, and training one without the other leaves a gap in functional strength. Bend your right knee and place your foot flat on the mattress. Your foot should be hip width from your left leg, your knee pointing towards the ceiling. From this position, you're going to lift your entire lower leg and foot off the mattress by flexing at the hip, bringing your knee upward towards your chest rather than extending the leg. Same tempo, 4 seconds up, 3-second hold, 5 seconds down, 8 repetitions per side. What you'll notice immediately is that this variation feels very different from the straight leg raise. The effort moves from the front of the thigh into the crease at the top of the hip. That's the iliopsoas engaging. That's the muscle responsible for picking your foot up off the ground with each step. When it's weak, you shuffle. When it's strong, you walk with a real stride.
Step 4. The glute bridge finish. The final movement in the sequence addresses the glutes and hamstrings, the posterior chain that powers you out of a chair, up a staircase, and forward with every step. Both knees bent, feet flat on the mattress, hip width apart. Take a breath in. As you exhale, press through your heels and lift your hips off the mattress until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Do not hyperextend. You're looking for a flat plank position through the hips, not an arched back. Hold for 4 seconds at the top. Squeeze your glutes actively. Don't just let gravity hold you there. Then lower your hips back to the mattress over 4 seconds, vertebra by vertebra if you can manage it, letting the spine return to neutral before you begin the next rep. 8 repetitions. This is the most demanding movement in the sequence, and most people feel it immediately in the back of the thighs and the base of the glutes. That fatigue is the point. Why this works faster than walking? Walking is a cyclical, rhythmic activity that operates within a fairly narrow range of muscle recruitment. The quad works, but never at full extension under load. The hip flexor works, but only through the arc of a natural stride. The glutes fire, but only in the brief push-off phase of each step. What the bed protocol does is take each of those muscles to a more complete range of motion, hold them there under intentional contraction, and force them to work slowly rather than rhythmically. That slow, intentional contraction under a held position produces significantly more mechanical tension than the brief, repeated contraction of walking. And mechanical tension is the primary stimulus for muscle protein synthesis. In plain terms, it's what tells your body to build muscle rather than break it down. This is not a theoretical argument. The principle of time under tension as a superior driver of hypertrophy compared to high-repetition, low-load activity like walking is well established in exercise physiology. For older adults specifically, where the muscle-building response is already blunted compared to younger people, maximizing time under tension becomes even more critical because you need a stronger signal to produce the same adaptation. Walking keeps what you have. This protocol builds what you've lost. What to expect week by week? In the first week, you're going to feel the fatigue most acutely in the quad and the hip flexor, specifically after the straight leg raises. That's appropriate. The muscle is being asked to do something it hasn't done in a while, and the soreness you feel 12 to 24 hours later is the repair process beginning. That repair process, repeated consistently, is what produces stronger tissue. By week 2, the fatigue will shift. You'll still feel the work, but it will feel more familiar. The nervous system has re-established the motor patterns, and the muscle is responding faster and more completely. Morning stiffness typically begins to ease around this time because the legs are receiving a real recruitment signal every morning before the demands of the day begin. Week 3 is when most people notice the first functional change, something outside the exercise itself. Getting up from a chair requires noticeably less effort. A flight of stairs doesn't produce the same apprehension. The legs feel present in a way they haven't in some time. That's not coincidence. That's the quadriceps doing its job again. By week 4, if you've been consistent, every morning, the full sequence, you'll have completed roughly 28 sessions. That's enough accumulated stimulus to produce measurable increases in quadriceps strength, glute activation, and hip flexor recruitment. Not enough to undo years of atrophy completely, but enough to feel and function meaningfully better. From there, the progression is simple. Begin adding a light ankle weight, starting at half a pound, to the straight leg raises. Not to the glute bridge just yet, just the straight leg raise on the dominant leg first. Build load gradually as your form stays clean and your confidence builds. Tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, try this. Just the first 2 parts, the quad set activation and 1 round of straight leg raises on each side, 4 minutes maximum. See what you feel in your legs when you finally do stand up. That sensation, that readiness is what this is supposed to produce. And once you feel it, you'll understand why no amount of shuffling to the kitchen and back was ever going to get you there. If this video gave you something useful, share it with someone who mentions struggling to get up in the morning or who's been told their legs are just weak from age. That explanation is incomplete, and this video is the rest of the story they deserve to hear. Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you most. Was it the neural inhibition piece, that your muscles go quiet overnight? Was it the quad set, or the reason the tempo matters so much? I want to know, and those comments tell me exactly what to cover next. I'll see you in the next one.